Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel for yet another what we really learned from the past Chelsea game, and this time from another lovely, convincing victory on the Thomas Tuchel train that just keeps on rolling past everybody. As Chelsea managed to pick up a solid, lovely 2-0 victory over Everton at home, another team from Merseyside that we just dispatched very comfortably. Things are just lovely jubbly right now at Chelsea, and to discuss all of that, bar the Timo Werner thing that's maybe not so lovely jubbly. I am joined by my good friend here, Mr. Ian, Mr. Craigo28 Football. Of course, subscribe to him. His link is down in the description. But bro, how are you?
I'm very good. I'm very much on a high at the moment because of what I'm looking at, which is, rather cool. You know what it is. I'm not going to tell them what it is, but you know what it is. And I'm very happy.
I know what it is. Exactly. There you go. Hey, if it makes you happy, that's all that counts. That's all that matters.
I am happy.
Exactly. There you go. Big up happy Ian. Big up happy Ian. There you go. There's a lot to discuss. Following last night's game. Whether it's all the positives, whether it's another, few people added to the AC penitentiary, whether it's, his unbelievable passing, whether it's Kai Havertz as a false nine, ripping Everton a new one, whether it's Jorginho, Kovacic playing incredibly well together, whether it's the fact that we have 3 double pivots and all of them are great and we don't know who to play. Wing backs, left, right, and centre, Callum Hudson-Odoi being great in 2 different positions, plus the Timo Werner debate. Whether you compare it to Giroud, whether you compare it to Pulisic, or whether you compare it to Tammy Abraham, who knows? There's certainly a debate to be had, and that's what we're going to get into tonight. This afternoon, whatever. Ian, first of all, give me your thoughts, what you initially thought of when the lineup came out. Does Lewis have it on here? Yes, he does. What did you think of when the lineup initially came out? Did anything surprise you particularly?
I don't know. I mean, obviously the Havertz inclusion was a big surprise, and of course Mount dropping out. I mean, he has been our best player, I think, this season. To see him drop out, it kind of was like, oh, okay, it's something different to deal with. Wasn't like you can understand it. Again, we've played a lot of football in the last couple of weeks, especially. So it does make sense. But nothing really wowed me. The one that really kind of surprised me more than most was Zuma instead of Rudiger. But you think about it for 2 minutes and go, yeah, well, they've got a lot of height and Zuma's taller, so it naturally makes sense. But there was no real surprise. Everything that was in there was done logically. It wasn't just like we just throw this person in and see if it works. There was some genuine kind of tactical knowledge and know-how behind it. So it did make a lot of sense. But the initial thoughts was like, oh, okay, well, why is that person not in? And why is that person? Main 2 for me being Mount and Rudiger. But it worked out quite well in the end, of course, because I mean, it's a 2-0 win. Probably could have actually been more, to be fair. But I mean, if you'd have said to me again, if you'd said to me before the game, 2-0 against Everton at home, I'd have bitten your hand off it. So fair play.
Exactly. I would agree. Yeah, the Havertz one, I was super happy about it because I've been asking for this for ages to actually play him exactly there. But yeah, the Zuma one, to be honest, I won't lie. I initially looked at the lineup, saw Havertz, saw Alonso, didn't even clock Zuma was starting. Took me about 15 more minutes to even realise that was happening. I was like, what, Zuma's starting? So that was a surprise. Obviously, Tuchel said after the game, or even pre-game, can't remember, that, he felt that Rudiger, even though Rudiger might have agreed, he felt that Rudiger could do with the rest, played a lot of football. And, to be fair, he has played a lot of football. Other than the Barnsley game, I'm pretty sure he started every game under Tuchel so far.
Yeah, I think he has,
Exactly. So giving him a day off, and at the end of the day, we won the game. So everything worked out perfectly. Like you said, there was even some advantage to Zuma playing because a slight bit better in the air, probably dealing with Calvert-Lewin in that aspect very well. And perfect. I was a little bit surprised by Alonso coming back in for Chilwell with how good Chilwell was in the last 2. I didn't necessarily expect that. Just going by the fact Alonso played the 5 or 6 or whatever it was games before that, and that seemed to have been fine. So I don't think it was a sense of Chilwell resting. But again, Tuchel has touched on this, height of Alonso. Everton loved that goalkeeper ball out to the right to Calvert-Lewin, and then, he deals with that better. Although Chilwell is better in the air than I think also Tuchel gives him credit for, to be honest. At the end of the day, it worked out, and Alonso actually, and it has to have been good for me to say it was good, Alonso actually had a good performance. So, at the end of the day, everything's working out absolutely perfectly. Before we get into any more individuals, any more specific moments that I want to discuss. First of all, big up everyone in the chat. Love that from you. If you're new here, please be sure to subscribe. Check out Ian's channel, of course, down in the description, Craigo28 Football. And Lewis should be joining us as soon as his stream finishes, where I just dropped off to start this, of course. But yeah, get involved, become a member if you fancy it. Use the super chat function if you want to support the channel. But of course, you don't have to. Just if you fancy it, do so. But Ian, before we get into any like detailed topics, do you want to just tell me quickly what you make of the game overall? Whether you go chronologically or just in certain things that you want to pick out, up to you.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, I was let down by them. I thought their main threat was going to be on the counter attack, and I thought that's why I was slightly worried about the Alonso inclusion. Again, get the ball out wide to the right hand side and go. Use the pace that they've got with Richarlison and bits and bobs. They just didn't really seem to get it going. They had this big focus on playing almost kind of defending and keeping clean sheets, as they have done the last couple of weeks. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think they had clean sheets in their previous 3 games, I think.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, so that would have been quite a big thing for them. Again, if you don't concede, you don't lose the game, and a point for them would have been fantastic. Their press from the front, I thought, was very good. They stopped us from playing out, and they did make it harder. I mean, we did manage to pull through, but could have done it on many more occasions, and they did make life hard for us. Yeah, they were decent. I can't say they were like world class or whatever like that. But I thought, for me, that this was the game that was the biggest test, because we can draw against Man United, that's fine. If you go and beat Liverpool, which we did, fantastic. The next game, always after these big wins, is really important. So otherwise, you're just throwing out the window what you've done previously. I can't remember when years gone by, but there must have been occasions where Chelsea have gone away and won at Old Trafford, or gone and won at such and such a place, and then just like that, gone and thrown away 2 points at home to somebody stupid. I can't think who. I think it has happened. There's definitely been other times where other teams have as well. So to get the result the way we did was superb. But yeah, no, Everton were okay. They weren't wonderful. I didn't go, wow, they are the best team we'll play. But they posed a very different threat. And the thing that I wanted to see under Tuchel was us deal with different threats. And we have the Man United counter-attack. I mean, poor, but we basically closed down Bruno Fernandes, who is such a vital part of that. So we dealt with that. Their counter-attack last night, dealt with it completely. Liverpool's constant pressure, dealt with it completely. So it's going nicely in the right direction. And the Man United one was always a little bit of a blip, where now after last night as well, again, dealing with the counter-attacking threat that they had, it seems like it's a constant thing. So I'm really quite happy with how the game went and how we played, which, yeah, I just think it was full of positives for us last night. Only thing is, I would have liked to have seen a third goal, but, it's still, we're creating so many chances. But the 2 goals we scored, one was from the penalty spot and one was an own goal. If we could have put one away that we created ourselves and it was just a normal bog standard goal, then I think we would all be on really high spirits. I think now at the moment we're on high spirits, but we'd be on really high spirits if it had been 3-0.
For sure. Like, it could have been 3, 4, 5, 8. It could have even been 6 if you're going to be really harsh about it. I agree with what you said, especially in the first half. Tuchel mentioned this as well after the game, that Everton made it difficult. Obviously, they played a back 5 to stop, basically go 1-on-1 against all of our 5 attackers, the front 3 plus the wing backs. They tried to basically man mark both Jorginho and Kovacic, and then had Allen to just sit in case someone drops deep. They set up well, as you would expect under Carlo Ancelotti. But at the end of the day, we found a way to deal with it. They pressed us. We played around it. Yes, we didn't find a way to get into the final third much in the first half, other than especially until we scored 1-0, or the own goal anyway. But at the end of the day, I don't mind if we don't always get there, as long as we don't give the ball away in stupid positions to try and get there. Because that's what I already said 15 minutes into the game. Kai Havertz is playing really, really well. Because, yes, the openings, the runs weren't quite there for him to make a more deadly pass, but he received it. It dropped to help us play out the back. He received the ball and he didn't give it away. Sometimes he passed it back when he had to. Sometimes he turned, played it wide. Sometimes he played it forward, but he didn't give it away. He looked composed. He looked controlled, which is what I actually thought that we were getting when we signed him. He struggled a bit to start with, even touched on this in his Chelsea TV interview, but the game just got better and better. And I think, we also, as the game went on, we learned to deal with them a little bit more. We learned, okay, Kai, Werner and Callum, one of them or 2 of them have to drop deep to, not just bypass Allen, but also make sure we open up a bit of a gap, meaning also Jorginho and Kovacic pushed wider to open up a bigger passing gap for Christensen to then find Hudson-Odoi, Havertz or Werner. And that worked perfectly well. And that's how we created the goal. Callum was found with the pass from, I think, Christensen. He, wriggled his way out of 3 players that were on him. Holgate dragged out of the gap. Alonso saw it, makes a good run. Callum finds him with a great ball, and that gets me on to Jester's comment here saying, well, Callum Hudson-Odoi was under pressure of two men right behind him, didn't lose the ball, turned around and played a forward pass, which is what a lot of our players don't do often enough when under pressure. They just go backward safe. But he found a way, turned it, and played Alonso through with a great ball. Alonso then with a good cross to Havertz, who just arrived in a perfect position. Yes, maybe his shot would have gone about this far wide. I still think they could have just given it his goal. But oh well, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. On goal, obviously, what was his name? Ben Godfrey slid in and chucked it into his own net, really. But I'll take it. Obviously, we had the chance to make it two. Similar almost build-up with obviously the Alonso was the chance. A bit sad if he could run more than 2 kilometers an hour, then he probably scores. So it's a bit disappointing. But at the end of the day, still a brilliant save. Again, a deflection, but then just a brilliant save. And in the second half, it just opened up more. I'm not sure whether it was Everton being more aggressive or whether Tuchel changed something at halftime, told them do this, and then we'll open things up. But we just started to find spaces more and more and more. Obviously, we got the penalty. Lovely ball by Kovacic. Underrated pass, by the way. Havertz showing the pace that people forget that he has just because he's tall. The guy's real quick. And it's so funny. I'm not sure if you saw his interview, but he said, I knew Pickford was coming. It was very easy to get that penalty. Like, it was the most obvious thing that he was going to slide into me. So fair play, I like the confidence. And obviously, Jorginho steps up, hibbity hop, like I like to say, and, it's not to help. And then the Timo Werner show started, but not a good one. Like, it was kind of a horror show because, man could have had a hat-trick. But instead, he's just on the back pages again for missing another set of sitters. And it's just disappointing because, he did well, ran him over the top board. He pushes off Godfrey, is in front of the keeper. Tries to go near post, scuffs it completely. Pickford makes a fairly comfortable, even though good, but fairly comfortable save with his knee. He gets played through again. Obviously, Mount releases him, who had come on. Again, one-on-one with the keeper, can't get it past him. I'm like, bro, this has got to stop. But before we get to the Timo Werner stuff, I think we need to pick out a couple of individuals that I just really need to highlight. Before we get to the two man of the matches in my books, which were Havertz and Christensen, I want to talk about the midfield too, because I know you've never been the biggest Jorginho fan, and you like N'Golo Kante a lot. But I think all of us have to admit at the moment that all three pivots that we have just work well. I still think the Kante Kovacic one probably works the least in certain games because they just open up a lot of gaps. But that's still, all three of them work. And it's just the fact that 2 months ago I would have said none of our midfield pivots are good. And now I'm sitting here and saying all of them are brilliant. Like, what on earth has Tuchel done to make that happen?
I think the main thing for me is how much they're being protected. And again, people are going to talk about a lot about, oh my God, we haven't conceded goals and this is a tactical masterclass and whatever and stuff. And obviously, it sounds a little bit harsh that I'm saying it against Tuchel, but I'm not. Is you put three people at the back, you are less likely to concede goals because, that's the way that the game is. We're talking about Everton yesterday as well. You don't know what happened in the second half. They took off Iwobi, who was far from the perfect player, but was playing as a right wing back. So they went to a back four, which made the game open up a hell of a lot more, which was really good in our favour. Bear in mind, they had to also come out and play because they were behind. But Jorginho and Kovacic is probably the best pivot we've got, I think. They complement each other most, but especially when they're now playing in front of a back three, it makes them really quite comfortable and it's really quite constant all the time. Kante, for me, I am a big fan of him. I'll be honest with you, I'd still cash in on him whilst we still can, to be honest with you, in the summer. But, it could be, we could have so many different conversations about that. I'm not Jorginho's biggest fan, but again, when you give him these responsibilities where he can focus on trying to play the ball forward and keep it and set the tempo, then it's great. But previously, he's been caught out from when he's had to do defensive work as well, which is not his game at all. It's not his game. And I think, although you can defend from the front. If you've got the ball, you're attacking, they can't score. That's the general rule of thumb. But at some point, it's going to go against you, which is what I kind of want to avoid and whatever. But no, in terms of last night's game, Jorginho played very well and Kovacic played well. The game, it wasn't suited to them. That's the wrong phrase. But again, the press that they had against them was very tough. But you always knew that Allen wasn't going to be the guy that really pushes up. They were going to sit deeper. It's a simple. If you put a race between Kovacic and Allen is getting done all day long. And that was a threat that they tried to kind of, they knew was coming. They tried to avoid it. So it was quite nice to see them use that. And again, it's better when it's in transition, when you're moving the ball quickly. Again, second half, the game opens up, so that happens a little bit more. But yeah, no, it's good. It is good. You know, it's one of those ones. It's I like Kovacic a lot. I think he is absolutely superb. I think he's absolutely superb. And in terms of who fits him best, it's Jorginho. So it's naturally the better pivot of the two. But I still think there's a few. Oh, there is a lot of people coming over from Lewis's stream.
Exactly.
Yeah, I still think there's a fair few problems with all of the pivots. Again, I still think we lack height, which is something that Jorginho, Kante, and Kovacic can't give us. But yeah, no, I mean, look, all three of them have got their positives. It's just a case of what it is that you're looking to do. Kante against Man United broke up play very well. So, I mean, he's got his positives. His weakness is he can't really go forward. He struggles to play tight, intricate passes. Played the long one to Mason Mount for the Liverpool goal, but when we get in really tight and narrow and whatever, that's not Kante's game. The other two are better. But at the same time, if you need pace in the game, then Kovacic and Kante are the better pairing. So it depends on the opposition. And yesterday's game was a little bit more suited to that pairing of Jorginho and Kovacic than it would have been to any others, which is why they probably looked so good. But again, the game changed vastly when we went 2-0 up and they had to go to a back four. That's where the game really went in our favour. And they made the most of it, which is great to see.
For sure. First of all, big up everyone that joined us from Lewis. Big up all of yourselves. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. Get involved. Subscribe to Ian as well. Link is down in the description. But yeah, road to 10K is well and truly happening. So make sure you subscribe. Smash the like button. And do all of the good stuff. You know, become a member if you fancy it. Use the super chat if you fancy that as well. But hey, you know, first of all, Fly has just summed up my opinions on Kante brilliantly. Kante gives us that running ability and chasing down that nobody else in the world offers, but then gives us less defensively. And that's kind of the issue all in one sentence with N'Golo Kante. I think Jorginho is a tough one because I think, in my opinion, Jorginho is underrated defensively, but he's not good defensively in the sense that, especially English in the Premier League, the stigma of what is defending, he's not good at that. He's not going to jump into flying tackles. He's not going to push someone out of the way. He's not going to have this, you know, one-on-one, like pulling each other when and what. He's not going to win those battles. But he had the most interceptions against Liverpool. He had the most ball recoveries against Liverpool. Not sure about the stats from yesterday, but he reads the game perfectly well. And that goes on the ball and off the ball. He so often just stands in the way of the pass and you just look, well, he was just passed to. Yeah, but because he went there first. And that's a part of Jorginho's defensive work that works. Obviously not always perfect. And you're right. The fact that they have the back three protection behind them is perfect. And that certainly helps, in particular when Jorginho and Kovacic play together. Brilliant. But Tuchel has just found a way, because even Kante, Jorginho worked perfectly against Liverpool. I mean, great. And, you know, obviously the Kante Kovacic against United, I didn't necessarily think it was as good as some people made it out to have been, but it was still good. So at the end of the day, I honestly, you can't really complain about any of it. It's made Callum Hudson-Odoi right wing back that can also play left inside forward. Like, Alonso is playing better. Chilwell has had another remontada, you know, playing brilliant in two of the biggest games we've had this season. Like, we're just doing big things. We're just doing big things. And I think before we get to Kai Havertz, I think we need to honour the carefree Lewis G raid and talk a bit of AC Hive, because the man's just doing incredible things. I mean, let me just get the penitentiary up. Let me get it up. 2 new people added. You know, the thing is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, as it should and as it will do. I mean, maybe we'll add another Bamford and Rafinha to it very soon. But the guy's doing unbelievable things, honestly. I mean, on this channel, I've spoken quite a few times about, does Thiago come back in? That's not even what I want to talk about. Just want to praise Christensen, because that tackle of Richarlison on the counter-attack was brilliant. I mean, that could have been 1-0 them at the time, or was it at 1-0 for us already? A goal for them anyway. And he dealt with that perfectly well. His passing to open up plays, perfect. I mean, like I said, it was his pass to Alonso to even open up that brilliant Pickford chance. So, you know, that would have been an assist for him. What a pass that was. And again, building it up for the first goal as well. He's doing incredibly well, isn't he?
Yeah, no, he is. And the foot in yesterday really kind of highlights how well he is doing. Again, it's a back three. More natural defenders in there, more likely it is that he's going to be good. And he gets a little bit more protected, which I think the thing with young centre halves, especially, and it's also young goalkeepers. Young goalkeepers, if they make a mistake, there is no one else you can blame bar them. Where now at the moment, when you're playing a back two, you get a little bit more like, oh, which one of the back two was at fault, or is it a whole back four? But when you get into a back three, mistakes do very rarely happen because you have got one other person, you've got one more person to cover you if said thing goes wrong. So it's quite nice to see that Christensen. I still think Christensen's best performances in a Chelsea shirt, came when it was Conte's second season, just before the Barcelona game, before it all went peep tong and went sideways. He was starting to play really well, and I was really enjoying what I was seeing. And now it looks like we're kind of starting to get back towards that. The only worry is it going to be a case of course, we're not going to talk about it, but Thiago Silva could potentially come back in. So yeah, I think, from what he's been doing, it has been great. And it's, I still don't look at him and think number one centre back. I don't look at him and think number one centre back. But the thing with Chelsea, I've said for the last few weeks about trending in the right direction. If he continues to trend, then he's the number one centre back in the world. I don't think it's going to happen, but if you continue to trend that much, even if you don't get to number one centre back in the world, you still get to a very decent point, a very reasonable point, and you are a very good centre half. So yeah, no, I'm really quite happy with what he's doing and how he's playing. I still don't think he's the best defensively, but still, middle of a back three, it makes it a lot easier for him. So yeah, but again, last night dealt with the counter-attacking threat very well, and played out from the back again, something that Thiago Silva has done for us so many times, and he's done it so many times throughout his career. I watched him play for PSG against Chelsea, and he was just superb at doing it. This is a start of what could be for Andreas Christensen. It's a new lease of life. Let's just hope he makes the most of it and just continues to keep growing and growing and growing. I still want to see a little bit more defensively, but again, he has got time. It's not as if he's like 29 and it's make or break season for him.
For sure. I mean, we'll get to that question by Flyers in just a second as well, because it's an interesting one. It's weird because I agree fully that the back three helps him, but in the last couple of weeks, I think it's less the others protecting him. It's more him protecting others. That's how good he's been, quite frankly. Like, again, it's obviously a combination of them playing together and everything just working well. The fact that he's in confidence. We know that he's a confident player. We've heard that he gets nervous before games, sometimes throws up before. Not sure whether that's the case when he's fully confident as well. But so we know that he's a confidence player. But when he is confident, he is doing bits. And I can't remember who I spoke. I think with Pice, we were discussing, even in physical challenges, he's getting better and better and better. He's muscling people out of the way. He's winning headers. He's jumping into things left, right, and centre. The bloody Barnes, the away game, man was trying to do a John Terry head the ball while lying on the floor. Like, he's trying to work his socks off to get himself into that team. And you honestly can't be asking for more. And he's doing everything he's asked to do. He's doing it perfectly well at the moment. And to get to Flyer's question, has Christensen been good enough to be trusted in the centre back two pairing? I don't think it's a question of, if we change to a back four, do you throw him in, and no matter whether he plays well or not, you have to stick with that for the next 10 games? No. But he has played well enough to be tried in it. And then you see whether it works or not. Do you know what I mean? Because Zuma has been good yesterday, but not as outstandingly good as Christensen yesterday. The only worry I would have with Christensen in the back two, because he would be next to Thiago, is a slight lack of physical edge without Rudiger and Zuma.
Completely agree.
And that's why we'd have to see it to see whether it works. And then also depending on opponent. Against the Burnley, you wouldn't do that. Against the Burnley, you'd need one of Rudiger or Zuma in there. But maybe against other teams, it would work perfectly well. Maybe, for example, Elite, if we were to play back four, which we won't, but if we were to, they're not exactly the physical side that they're going to, physical in terms of running, but not in terms of strong. So you could probably play a Christensen Thiago Silva back four partnership. But I think, it's a question that we don't need to have right now, because we're going to stick to the back three for the time being. And I think next we should probably talk about Kai Havertz. No, actually, let's wait with that until Lewis joins in, because he's spoken about Tammy Abraham and Timo Werner for too long already. So, let's get him on the hype in after. But Timo Werner. Touched on it, and I was on Lewis's stream, and Johnny was having his say, and Monster was having his say, and Con. My thing is, and I've said this there already before getting into more detail, I've been very critical of Timo Werner from when he started missing chances. I'm like, you can't miss those chances. And
Yes,
Con made the point, he missed those chances at Leipzig as well. I know he did, but he didn't miss 16 without scoring a goal in between, or scoring one goal in between. That's a different story. It's fine if he misses those 16 while scoring another 10. That's all well and good. But if you have 16 big chances, even if I accepted you're not the most clinical and prolific striker that we know of, I'd still expect you to take about half of big chances. We're not talking chance, like half chances here, like Erling Haaland converts, but of 16 sitters, one-on-one with the keeper, on the goal line, on the 6-yard box, I'm expecting you to score at least half. And that's being very generous. And he hasn't scored none of them. And also this whole debate of playing out of position. No, it's waffle. In terms of overall performance, I gave him that excuse under Lampard when he played proper left winger. That's not him. That's fine. I didn't then expect him to be like drop an 8 out of 10 overall performance. But when you're one-on-one with the keeper, it doesn't matter whether you started at left wing or whether you started as the number 9 or an inside forward. It doesn't matter. Once you're one-on-one with the keeper, you're one-on-one with the keeper, no matter where you came from. So that's got nothing to do with it. And I'm not accepting all these chances being missed. And the point that I want to make, and let me start to share the screen in a second because I made this a poll on Twitter earlier. With the amount of chances he's missed, and I'm not saying he's been absolutely shocking in every game he's played, not by any means, but there's certainly been games when he's been poor and probably should have been taken off, but he never does. But Tammy Abraham, even from Thomas Tuchel, was taken off at halftime, twice, 3 times? And I thought, if you're taking Tammy off like that, but leave Ziyech on, take Callum Hudson-Odoi off after half an hour, and let Werner play every single game, even though he's kind of not doing that, it's where get a few issues. Lewis has joined the party. Hello, my bro. I hope you're well.
Yes, man. What are you saying, guys?
All good.
Oh, Craigo, is that a new background? Something looks different.
Yes, it is.
It's a good positive. I'll give you that. Thank you very much. I like it.
There you go. Let me just, and as you can see here, I did this poll earlier, asking the people what they think of this. Who do you think has had more good games in terms of positively influencing or affecting the result for Chelsea this season? Or if you will, just giving it an overall rating in terms of finding an average of their good games, their bad games, their decent games. Who has been better? This poll has obviously come out with 60-40 to Timo Werner. I would personally probably slightly disagree because I think Werner has had 4 good games. That includes Liverpool, even when he didn't actually get us a score point. That includes Liverpool. That includes Sheffield United when he won the pen and assisted the other goal. And that includes the Southampton game at home in which he scored 2 goals and got the assist. Actually, that's only 3. But maybe I'm forgetting one, so I just said 4. But Tammy, I don't think Tammy has had games as bad as Timo Werner this season. It's a difficult debate, and I want to get your both of your opinions on it because Timo Werner cost us 50 million. 50 million. And I know first season, this is all well and good. And I've said this before, I'm not expecting him to score 30 goals, but I'm expecting him to score more than bloody 5 come March. And we're in March, and that's how many he scored. 5. This is not very good. Like, let's not kid ourselves. This is not very good. He has less goals than Jorginho. Do you know what I mean? And Werner even took some penalties, so you can't even give him that. Obviously Jorginho took more, but still, it's a difficult debate to be had. And because Lewis has just joined, what do you think about that? First of all, on the poll, what would you vote in the poll? And then we get back to a bit of Timo Werner, but I won't keep you on that for too long. I know your stream was about that for a while as well.
No, it's cool, man. So what are we saying? Who's had the better season in terms of their chances?
No, just full stop. In terms of if you average it, look at Timo has made 3 or 4 really good games, a few average ones, and then a few bad ones. How would you compare it with Tammy? Because I think Tammy has probably overall been better, even though he didn't win us 8 penalties like Werner did. Even though he has less assists, he's also played a lot less. I mean, Werner, no matter how poor his form is, he plays every single game. So it's easier to get those numbers up, obviously.
Overall through the season, I don't know, because Werner's had that 12-game run without scoring, and he just looked absolutely pants throughout that run. And is the thing, both of them can look awful, and both of them can look really good with confidence either. So I don't even want to call it a trash v garbage argument. It's not that bad, but I feel Werner offers more all round, especially when he's more confident. but you also can't hide the fact that he just misses way too many big chances. I think with Tammy Abraham, there's big chances he missed as well, and I think his overall game, to be honest, is worse than Timo Werner's. Like, we have to be honest and call it for what it is. I think there's a much bigger area for improvement for Tammy Abraham, but I also don't think it's over for either of them. It's just Tammy probably needs another loan. Timo Werner just really needs to be more clinical. And we've had the other stream where people were complaining about his touches, his link-up play, and sometimes they don't look that good, but that's confidence for me. Like, I've looked at videos from Timo Werner's first few games at Chelsea, and even when we play him on the left-hand side, he looks a completely different animal, and it's just a confidence factor. His touch looks stronger the first few games. His link-up play is still good, in my opinion. Like, he'll have bad moments. It is what it is. But for the most part, I still think his link-up play, his runs off the ball, have all been excellent this season. It's all masked by the fact that he misses these big chances, because we brought him in as a striker. Yes, he's a left forward, but we all brought him in as a striker, so that was all the mindset that he was going to score goals. He isn't scoring goals. So that's going to be a problem in itself. It is confidence. And I don't know how we change it, because I understood that when we were in bad form around the December-January period. I get that. Everyone's playing badly. Fine. Now we're in an 11-game unbeaten run. And Werner is playing well, has had good games. There was that period where he won 2 Man of the Match awards back-to-back. So we can't say he's been terrible through this run either. But this game yesterday was just... Yeah, I swear he won 2 Man of the Match awards back-to-back. There was a Sheffield United game and whoever we played after that. Newcastle, right? Newcastle,
right?
Oh yeah, he scored against them as well.
Man the match in both those games. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but he's had good performances. It's just you cannot escape the fact that he gets in these great positions, and then the shot is just so timid half the time. Like there was the 2 at Pickford where he more or less just tapped it towards him. To be honest, it barely even felt like a shot. There was a few ones where he hit the near post nearly every time. And I don't mind that if you can be clinical with it. Like, yeah, everyone goes to the wide post, so maybe you're trying to think of something different. But we tried that, and that didn't work either. So if it doesn't work, that's just another big chance missed. So if you're asking me who's had the better season overall, I don't really know, because Tammy Abraham's still our top goal scorer for this season in all competitions, but it's still like heavy stat padding. Like half of
but
this.
Is it? Because Werner has played a lot more games than Tammy has. In comparison to Giroud, maybe you can make that argument for Tammy, but not for Werner.
12 goals this season for Tammy so far this season, if I'm correct, right? We've already got a hat-trick against Luton in there. We've got a goal against Barnsley. Like, same way. If you want to do that, same energy, take away Timo's goal against Morecambe. Fine, cool. Same energies and all of that. But same way, still stat padding on there. So it's context on the pair of them. Through both of them, they haven't had great seasons. But I think Timo Werner's just offered more all round, which is why I'd say Werner's been the better player out of the two.
Fair. I do think
we use Tammy as... I was going to say we use Tammy as more of a... We want him to be more of a target man. That's the thing. So they both have different roles in themselves as well, which is why maybe you can't really fully compare them, but same way. Tammy is a target man. Oh my goodness. Like, he's improved. Fine. From Tammy Abraham, where he first joined us, he's improved. His hold-up play is better than it was when he first joined us. His link-up play is better than when he first joined us. That's still not me saying much, though, because there's still levels more that he needs to improve in itself. Both can look like clowns when they're not on good form. But when Tammy looks bad, he looks absolutely terrible. And he looks like he just can't offer anything. And it's also to the fact that we've played to something that should be his strength. And you said it for me before I could even say it. How many times have we played a style of play that should be perfect to someone of Tammy Abraham's ability? Crosses loop straight to him. And all he does is get bullied. Time in and time out again. Timo Werner is the excuse that we play low blocks nearly every other week. And maybe he's not suited to playing that. That's something he needs to get used to. That's more adjustment. That's why I can understand Werner a bit more. Tammy, it's like, when we play to your strengths, it's not your strengths. When we play a different style of play, it still doesn't really work. You're only really good when we put the opportunity to you on a plate, because he's not really a well-rounded sort of finisher either. He's a very one-sided sort of finisher. Like, you have to get the ball to him in the perfect position onto his strong foot so you can smash or place it into the corner. You're not going to get a goal from Tammy Abraham on either of the corners of the box. You're not going to get a weak foot finish from Tammy Abraham. Don't even get me started on headers. Outside of the box, nothing. So I feel like with Werner, he just offers you a little bit more all round. Granted, he hasn't had the best of the season. Granted, maybe the criticism isn't that fair for the pair of them. But same way, like, Tammy ain't been great this season either. Like, I'd say Werner's had the better season than he has, even if it isn't saying a lot.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. Obviously, they play slightly different roles. Even if Werner plays up top, he's a different striker. I think people are a bit harsh to Tammy in terms of that they forget the amount of runs he makes as well, that similar to Werner aren't found. Obviously, do you trust it? I trust Tam, even though Werner has poor first touch. I probably trust Tammy's first touch to get himself into the chance, even a little bit less. How he got injured against Newcastle in the first place. If he has a better touch, he gets a goal. But once he is in front of the keeper, I trust Tammy a million times more to actually convert it than I do Timo Werner. And that's where the problem comes from. And I'm not even saying, and for me also, this is also close. I probably might edge it to Tammy just because he's frustrated me less than Timo, but he might have frustrated me more had he played more. But that's why I get to it. But what I don't understand is, why does Werner keep playing? Lack of confidence, true. But we've tried playing him through it now. Why don't we stop trying to play him through it now? It's not like we don't have other
that's
players.
That's more context in itself too, because he's played so many minutes for us this season, but we already were screaming throughout the Lampard reign that he is not a left winger. Stop playing him on the left wing. We are consistently getting the worst out of him on the left wing, and we continue to play him. So for those games, I don't even blame Werner too much, because we all would have benched Werner in that form, or we would have at least moved him to a different part of the pitch. But Lampard didn't do that. So that's where it's on Frank Lampard. Now, under the Tuchel reign, he's had good games. It's just now this Everton game has come round and he's had another game where he's missed a string of good chances, and we've just all gone back to the same part they were at before. But that's still not to ignore what he's done in the last 11 or 12 games before that. I think he's performed a lot better than he has before under Frank Lampard. It's just this Everton game is just making us remember the bad sides to him. That's the way it seems like to me.
Sure. No, but my argument here is, wouldn't it, like, obviously rest and rotation, well and good, but just in theory, had instead of Werner just Mason Mount played, would we have been better? And I think yes.
Maybe.
Yes.
Maybe.
Go on, Craig. Go on. Yeah,
I think, again, it depends on where you want to play Timo. I mean, I was one of the 60% that voted for Timo having a better season. I think he's better, and a big part about Timo at the moment is fear factor. It's the fear factor that comes with playing against him. Tammy Abraham's played in England now for 5 years now, I think, something along those lines, on different loan spells. 4 or 5 years, something like that. I mean, Swansea, Villa, Bristol, 2 with Chelsea, 4 5 years we're talking about. And I've never seen anything that's made me go, honestly, I've never seen anything that's made me go, wow, this is really tough to deal with. We're going to cause mass problems by playing this guy up front. Where at least with Timo Werner, he's brought in for 50 million quid. And although money's not everything, you know that his pace is so electric that if you get it wrong, he's going to make you pay. And it's something that you might not be able to plan for and cater for. You'll play your fastest right back rather than your first choice right back, and Timo Werner could still outdo him. So it's a tough one. But I don't look at Tammy at all and think your main attribute is your height. You ain't using it. So there's nothing that scares me there at all. So teams go, all right, yeah, well, I mean, again, it depends on, of course, who you play. But Tammy comes into the game. If Tammy's coming off the bench and you're 1-0 up, something like that, Timo's never the right person to bring on in that situation because he's smaller. They're probably part of the bus, whatever. Low block again. But you're bringing on Tammy, and he's nowhere near having the same impact that someone like Giroud off the bench would probably have. There's a massive fear factor thing about it. And although it's not something that can be coached, it's just real. It just happen. I mean, the thing for me, we're saying about potentially Tammy going on loan. That's not going to happen because he wants a contract extension and he ain't going to get it to then go on loan. It makes no sense because no one's going to want to get him when he's on 180 grand a week, half the loan fee. No one's going to want to pay 90 grand a season for Tammy Abraham when he's not guaranteed to hit the ground running. But in terms of Tammy to Timo for us, which is the main crux of the matter, although Tammy has scored more goals and has done this and has done that, it still comes back to the sole argument, which is a lot of people saying, well, Tammy's a better finisher, which might be true. And if Tammy's one-on-one with the goalkeeper, then he'll put those chances away, which is probably true. But Tammy doesn't get into those positions. And it's not because we don't give him the ball. It's because he is not able to run past three people and then become one-on-one. Timo Werner is. And it's a real tough argument. And look, I don't think either of them have been good. Do you know what I mean?
Brilliant. That is so harsh.
I don't think.
Oh my gosh!
I don't think either of them have been great. Like, let's not get this wrong at all. I don't think either of them have been great. But at the same time, I don't look at it and think Tammy Abraham is going to offer you something miles different to what Timo Werner is. The only thing Timo Werner is going to offer you more likely is that he's going to get into these positions, which Tammy does not. I haven't looked back at all Tammy's goals throughout the season, but I'm probably going to assume a fair few of them are tap-ins. Things that probably Timo Werner would score, again, tap-ins, one-touch finishes inside the box, like he did against Newcastle. It was a weird run around the back post. He just tucks it home. Unconventional, but tucks it home. But I still think the same thing. Honestly, I still see the same thing. We still need a new centre forward. We still need a new centre forward, regardless of if it's Tammy or Werner you want to keep. I think it's going to be very tough to keep both of them, to be honest with you, because Timo hasn't justified his transfer fee. Obviously, he's been there for less time, so maybe give him a little bit of leeway. But Tammy Abraham's not exactly making it stonewall that he has to play either. So it's a bloody rock and a hard place. Honestly, it's a rock and a hard place. I don't think either of them have been good, but if I had to pick one, which I have, it's Timo.
Yeah, and I think that's where you're coming from, because my debate isn't even really who out of those two should necessarily be starting, because especially after what we saw last night, my case is more that neither of them should, rather than that one of them should, and it should be Tammy or it should be Timo. Because, like I said, Timo, and I've said this on Lewis's channel before, and just to add it to what you just said, Ian, because you said Tammy doesn't find himself with those chances. True. But neither does Timo, other than if the team's winning anyway. That's why his misses haven't cost us points. So in the games where we actually need him to get chances and score goals, he doesn't even not just score, he doesn't even get chances. So it's like one of those, there's been a few players in world football that stat padded their goals left, right, and centre, but only ever scored the second, third, fourth, fifth goals for their team every time. And that's kind of what Timo Werner does, just that he doesn't score either. He misses them. But that's when he gets chances. He didn't have the sitters yesterday before we went 1-0 up. Or, do you know what I mean? Like he had those sitters when we was already 2-0 up. That's when Everton opened up space. He had he had more space to use his pace. But the average game, he isn't able to use his pace. As much as I say this now, I still actually want him to start against Leeds. And either like we did yesterday with Havertz in the middle and Werner to make the runs off the side, or Timo up top like it was against Liverpool. I'm fine with either. But Leeds is a specific case. Games after that, I don't even want him to start against Atletico. I think it's pointless. I think his touch is good enough, his passing isn't good enough to occupy one of the wide creative positions. Do you know what I mean? And with Tammy as the focal point striker, I still have the creative players that I need to create chances. You know, Giroud doesn't create chances either. Giroud has one-touch passing, sure, but it's not like he's going to play the most outrageous through ball that we want to see from Kovacic, Jorginho, and Mount Havertz, right? Giroud ain't doing that either. But because Tammy doesn't play up front, but on the side, he takes up one of these positions that should do that, but he doesn't do that. And that's why it's frustrating me so much.
He doesn't do it as much as others do, yeah, fine. But, I mean, I instantly just thought back to the Newcastle game where he got on the score sheet for the second one, but also he did actually create the first goal by using his pace, running down the line and putting the ball back in. I don't know if he actually got credited with the assist, but he was one that caused the problem.
That's right. But that was one of the off games, or not off. That was one of the games where it was good. And of course, any player that's a good player will have good games every now and again. We'd hope for it to be more regularly, but And even yesterday, he had a good overall performance. I would have probably given him a 6.5, 7. But then the misses just take away from that. And I don't know. Like I said, I think we would have been a better team yesterday and might have scored more goals had Mount started instead of him. I would usually say Pulisic, but Pulisic is in poor form as well. So probably wouldn't have made a difference. That's the kind of case I was trying to make, that I think, and part of it is because we signed him for a lot of money. I don't think Werner he's getting the criticism from fans, maybe now plenty, but not from the staff, not from the managers. Lampard didn't leave him out after too many misses. Tuchel isn't leaving him out after too many misses. Neither of them are doing it. And that's what I don't understand and don't agree with, if that makes sense.
I still think there might be people upstairs that are saying play him. Which
for sure.
Again,
and that's why the title is he a problem, John? Because if you're forced to play him and he doesn't perform, that becomes a problem. Not while we're winning, but we can't always be winning like we are right now. At some point we won't. And then if Werner keeps having the same issues, but the managers are almost forced to play him, that's when it becomes a serious issue. And that's what I'm a little bit worried about.
Of course, but it's the same thing whether it be Frank or Tuchel. It depends on what's coming from upstairs. And if people upstairs are interfering in football business, I say football business, that is their job, but interfering in the actual starting 11 and what happens on the pitch, it's a different matter, because if, again, it's an extreme example. If I was good mates with other people on the board, then all of a sudden said I want to play football, and then one of the board members goes, "Oh yeah, hi Thomas, yeah, can we get this bloke in? He's got to play every single game." Everyone's going to be going, "Fuck off." But what's Thomas Tuchel going to say? He's not going to go. He's going to say, "You're having a fucking laugh, aren't you? Like, surely you're having a laugh." And at the same time, he's then got this really tough job in his hands that he's got to play it because that's his role. That's his boss saying that. It's really tough. It's like I've worked in retail for years, right? I've worked in retail for years, and there is one lady I think of instantly, Magdalena. She always goes out for a fag break. She does not have a lunch break. She just has I think she's 5 or 6, just 10-minute breaks throughout the day, right? Now, probably from a company point of view, that's really bad. That's really bad. But she goes outside, she has a cigarette, and she comes back in and she works, and that's fine. That's just her life. That's what she does. But if you then got one of the people from upstairs saying, "Oh, you can't do that," she's got to go back to having an hour lunch break. She'd have her hour lunch break. For the 3 hours beforehand, she'd be really annoyed. And then for the 3 hours afterwards, she'd still be really annoyed. So you don't get the best out of her. Do you know what I mean? So sometimes, again, this is just one kind of example that comes to my head. But you can't afford to let certain people that don't know about playing the game tell you how to play the game. That's what I have a worry about. If you're talking about some absolute stud has to play 20 games in a row, then it's fine. But when certain people aren't studs, then they're costing the team massively. And it's, again, football business. What's the cost? What's the other side of it? Which I think a lot of people don't consider about. Not saying that's Tuchel's fault or anything, or Lampard's fault, or anyone's fault, but it's just the way that modern football is at the moment, unfortunately. And it means a hell of a lot more when you're a big club like Chelsea than when you are a smaller club like, I don't know, if Burnley signed someone for 30 million quid, he's got to play every week. Makes a very big difference.
For sure. I mean, Flores makes a fair point as well. He's not sure about this from upstairs thing because Pulisic isn't playing. Havertz wasn't playing for a while. Chilwell is being replaced by Alonso, and they cost equally as much money. Just Chilwell earns a lot more than Werner does, surprisingly. So why would they do it for Werner but not any of the others? It is a fair point. Obviously, at the end of the day, it's all speculation, and we will never 100% know.
Yeah, but we can't prove this. Yeah,
exactly. Enough about negativity. Let's talk some positive things. And let's talk the other German who took the Premier League and Everton by storm yesterday. Well, not Everton, Stamford Bridge, but Everton and Stamford Bridge. And just produced a masterclass of a performance, in my opinion. And this is exactly why me, Lewis, Dami, maybe to some extent Ian as well, I don't know, have been craving and asking for Havertz to play, whether you call it as a striker, whether you call it as a false nine, whether you call it as a centre forward. I don't care what you call it. What I care is that he was absolutely bloody magnificent yesterday. He showed his pace, unbelievably quick, extremely underrated how quick the kid is. Both feet, dribbling, looked controlled and composed, even though he dropped deep. Like sometimes he did under Frank and people say, "Oh, he's too deep and he can't do it." He even dropped deep at times yesterday. Never gave the ball away, kept it under control. Passed it back when he had to, passed it sideways, passed it forwards when he could. that was the perfect game other than not getting the goal. Whatever our opinions are on should the goal have stood with his handball, was it not? Who the hell knows? I don't know. So my personal logic is just, well, if it's a football and an arm is not like goalpost, the arm will probably squish a little bit. So if it touches it right here, it probably touched the arm here as well, and then it is handball. But like just by using physical logic, I would presume he probably touched it there and there.
I mean, if you use the old school rule of football that if it hits your arm, it's handball, then no one's got any problem. It's just what the hell is T-shirt line crap about? But there we are. You know, it hits your arm, it don't count. But
exactly, and it would have been simple.
Jarring.
Had the offside against Liverpool not happened, we probably would have all accepted this much quicker. But the offside for Werner was taken here as well. So which one is it?
Yeah.
Like, which one is it?
VAR, and this is the refereeing decisions for you, and there's no consistency around either of it. That's the annoying part. And I'm not even as angry about it anymore. The only reason why is because we were winning. And also the Liverpool game as well. Like the Liverpool game, that's where most of my anger got pushed down to. Now I just see VAR cost us in the decision, and it's like, whatever. As long as it hasn't cost us any points, I don't care too much, because other than that, I'm just going to get annoyed at VAR decisions every other week, to be honest.
Yeah, that's all right.
That's exactly it. And before I get both of you guys' thoughts on Kai Havertz and his performance yesterday, big up, by the way, everyone watching, everyone in the chat. Do appreciate all of you. I try to get as many comments on the screen as I can. If you're new here, by the way, 260 people watching, be sure to subscribe. We're on the road to 10K. Subscribe to both Lewis and Ian Craigo down in the comment section, down in the description below. Both of their links. Just click that. Takes you straight to their channel. Subscribe. Smash the like button. Let me see how many likes we're on. Probably not enough, but let me just see. 89 likes, so just 11 away from 100. So you've done okay, to be fair. But let's make sure you get the 100 right now, and then we get to 150 by the end. Come on, guys. It doesn't cost you any money. It barely costs you any time. Just click a button. Turn it from grey to blue. Turn it from grey to blue. We all prefer blue to grey. So just click the button. It turns blue. We all want that. So just go do that. And I'd be sick. Of course, become a member if you fancy it. There's a join button. Use the super chat if you fancy it.
Oh, yeah, good shot, Craigo. I haven't even liked it myself. Great shot.
Yeah, do it. See? Support your friends.
Exactly.
Yeah, very good.
Support your friends. That's it. But Lewis, what did you make of Kai Havertz yesterday? Was he as good? Did you think he was as good as me?
Beautiful, and half the reason why we were able to play as free-flowing as we were in the attacking third. I thought his ball progression was excellent. Hold-up play, link-up play, as per usual, was brilliant. And the beautiful thing for him as well is like he offered everything that we want to see from Olivier Giroud, and I won't say for Tammy Abraham as well, because when it's Tammy Abraham, we're talking more about aerial ability, and he didn't have any of that. But it was like for the first time, we didn't ignore his runs, and we just saw the effect that it has. There was the one that led to the own goal. There was the one that led to the penalty as well. And he's been threatening to do this for a long time. It's just we've always seemed to ignore his runs. That's why it was so refreshing to see Kovacic find him with that first-time pass. And that fact that it led to the second goal as well was just perfect. I loved it, man. But yeah, Kai Havertz, personal man of the match for me. Few options for it as well, because we had an excellent performance all round. But yeah, Kai Havertz was the main reason for why that entire front three was playing so brilliantly, and why we were able to get the best out of Callum Hudson-Odoi on the left-hand side. Werner as well, opening up spaces for the pair of them to cause absolute chaos. Yeah, three of them just linked up excellently. But Kai Havertz, man, he's definitely back to his best.
Fully. And big up Jam in the chat, by the way. Come on, bro. Big up.
Big up.
Also, by the way, now that I have this opportunity, I only realized all of this was happening very late last night. But shout out support to Dami, and racism is unacceptable. And if you're a racist, you're a twat. End of discussion.
Yeah, I didn't even fully find out what happened to him, but same way, I hope he's doing all right.
Exactly. And by the way, if you don't call out racists, if you don't call out racists when you see them, you're an accomplice, and that doesn't make you any better. So, you know, just to make that very clear, and a very important point now that we have a lot of people watching. But yeah, I also think actually, because Timo Werner, as much as I particularly criticized and hated on him a minute ago, like I said, I think he had a good game besides the misses. And I think part of that reason was, again, Kai Havertz. Obviously, they have a link up. They know each other very well. They're best friends, at Chelsea at least. But he helped him too. And that's why I was thinking, against Leeds, definitely start Werner. But with Kai, wouldn't even hate them starting together, and Kai's a false line again. Honestly, I'm a big fan of this. And Kai can do a lot of things. Kai can play a proper 10 in a 4-2-3-1 if we get Haaland. fine. But until we get Haaland, keep playing Havertz as a false 9, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think it's the best thing we have there. Yeah, Giroud for the last 10, 15 minutes if we need a goal. Sure. Happy with that. That's what Giroud is for. Don't start Giroud in games. Maybe in Europe, okay. But in the Prem, don't start Giroud in games. Pointless. He doesn't get goals. And when he does, like at Wolves, we lose anyway. So just bring him on for the end of games. That's what Giroud is brilliant at. But to start him, the fluidity was just, honestly, it was so good to see someone that actually controls the ball. Like Lewis said, he won headers against Michael Keane as if he was like some schoolboy next to him. You know, he held the ball up strongly. He never lost it. Like, I couldn't have asked for more. Ian, do you have anything to criticize about Kai Havertz last night?
Well, I thought his hair was a bit. No, I think I really liked it. I really did like Kai Havertz as the false 9. It's not something I've been crying out for, honestly. It's something that I hadn't really thought about him playing as a false 9. But I keep banging on about causing chaos for the other team and making them make mistakes. Kai Havertz caused something yesterday that, I mean, again, Werner, you know how to play against him. Play the low block, he's not necessarily going to have the same threat. Giroud is great in the air, so don't allow crosses to come in. And if they do, make sure you get touch tight to him to make a real nightmare for him. Tammy Abraham is quite easy to play against. He's a big lump, but he's also very gangly. You can knock him off the ball quite easily, take the ball away from him, whatever. Again, he prefers the ball on the floor. By our own mind, he's 6'5", so it's a bit of a joke. But Kai Havertz offered something that Everton had no idea how to deal with. They were completely going into the game in the dark, and he made the most of it. It was a bit of a weird one because the natural way we would have played is let's get right up tight against them and let's try and move the ball. And it's a one-on-one between Keane and Giroud, for example. The ball goes into Kai Havertz for the goal. Then maybe it's a little bit of a different story. But he moves the ball well. I did a video on him back in the summer, and I said that he moved the ball like Cruyff because the way that he glides through, he runs really quickly, but you actually don't look at it and think, wow, he's really sprinting there. He just kind of glides around the pitch, and it's this kind of almost luxury player that we've now got the ability to use in this false 9, number 10 role, whatever you want to call it. And obviously everyone knows I'm a massive fan of Mason Mount, and Mason Mount's played that position more recently as that kind of false 9. Never something that I ever saw Mason Mount doing. Never something I'd have had as his positional strength or whatever. Did okay, but again, the ball that came in for the first goal, it was in the air. The goal that was disallowed came into Kai Havertz's chest. It's in the air. Mason Mount couldn't do that. Even Timo Werner couldn't have done that. It offers another threat. And the way that he runs around, the way that he moves the ball, the way that he uses his technical ability to its best in the game last night, I don't know. Again, he has to do it on a more regular basis. Only time will tell with that one if it is the case. But purely going off last night, the way that he moved the ball and used his technical ability better than Tammy would, better than Giroud would, better than Timo would, it just makes complete sense that he is the better of the 4 options. That's just fact. If you want to play the central striker, number 9, false 9, whatever, he's the better option from what I saw last night. Because as much as I love Giroud, I'm a big fan of Giroud. I'm a big fan of Tammy Abraham to an extent. I'm a big fan of Timo Werner because he can offer one thing, which is electrifying pace. But Kai Havertz can offer more. Just all round offer more. And again, more opportunities created to cause massive chaos and massive mistakes by Everton and by any team in general. Kai Havertz is going to cause them.
Yeah, he is. And like you said, he glides. And that's one of the things that I enjoy so much about him. It looks effortless when he plays well. Flyers has, of course, made a very fair comment saying, I personally think we can't say Kai is back to his best after one performance. And we need to see it more consistently for sure. But what he showed us yesterday and what we know of his qualities, the way we play, it suits playing that 9 role, false 9 role, whichever you want to call it. It suits it best. Whether he then is able to perform every time, maybe not. But neither are Giroud or Tammy. So just with that in mind, just play Kai, and the more he plays there, the better he will get anyway. And we've played Werner through every patch of bad performances. We did it with Tammy last season at times. We did it with Giroud at times, even after the Sevilla game, when he just, because of the Sevilla game, started the next 3 games and was really poor in 2 of those 3. And pretty decent against Wolves, but we lost the game in the end anyway. So just do that with Kai. If he's fit enough to do so, just do that. like try it. I mean, we signed him for 70, 80 million, whichever the bonuses in the end go up to, whichever, numbers he hits with us, right? So make use of it. Like, obviously, we talk about Werner and he costs so much money. And now we're saying, yeah, but don't overdo it with Havertz. Why not? Like, why not? That's how good he is. Just bloody go for it. And then we find a way who to play around him. Whether it's Hudson-Odoi as a left winger, sometimes as a right wing back. We play Mason Mount around him because I still think Mason Mount is absolutely crucial to this team. But I also fully believe that they can play together. I think that they can make that work wonderfully well, actually. I think in terms of understanding, I think they could very quickly build some relationship personally. I think they play and think very similarly, but without getting in each other's way. So I think that could actually work a dream. Whether you then have Werner in there, whether you have, like I said, Hudson-Odoi in there, whether you have Callum Hudson-Odoi with a Pulisic whenever he hits form, whenever he gets more fit or whatever the situation is there. Even Hakim Ziyech, if he ever comes into form, you can make it work. But I think having Mason, as long as we play a back three, it all changes if we change to a back four and play a different system. But as long as we play this system, I think Havertz and Mason Mount are in my ideal starting 11 in respective roles. And they can move around. And that's what all three of us enjoyed yesterday. There was fluidity. Sometimes Kai was on the right and on the left, and Timo was in the middle, and Hudson-Odoi was moving over. And, obviously someone mentioned in the chat earlier, and I kind of forgot to highlight it. Obviously, it has been highlighted and translated by now from other people as well. But there was this moment when Tuchel spoke to or shouted at Werner in the second half saying, "You've been on the left for 15 minutes now. You're playing on the right. Basically, get over to the right. What don't you understand about playing on the right," kind of thing. Some people would say, he's not listening to instructions, whatever. This is a normal thing in football. Players have a bit of freedom on the pitch, but if he overdoes it, like for 15 minutes, when that's not actually what Tuchel wants him, he's like, "Come on, you're meant to play over there. Go back there." And it's an emotional situation. It's an emotional game. So just because he didn't say it with a little, kiss at the end, doesn't mean they hate each other now. Like, it's fine, right?
It's a business. It's a business to get the results.
Exactly. Same with the Reece James, shouting at him like 10 times, aggressive, higher, whatever. First of all, I think that's partly to do with the fact that Reece James was about 70 meters away from Tuchel, so he might not have heard him 8 of those 10 times. Even in an empty stadium, sound has to travel 70 meters while you're running. You have other noises around you and everything. Like, the mics just happened to be really close to the managers yesterday. I don't know why, but Tuchel has never been so obvious on TV as he was yesterday. Don't know why, but I'm a fan, so keep doing that. Premier League, please. But I think the last thing we're going to get into before we slowly but surely round it out here, first of all, anyone in the chat, if you want to drop us 2 or 3 or 4 quick fire questions, as I like to do so. We'll get to that at the very end. But I think the last thing I just want to mention is Edouard Mendy. A lot of people haven't really discussed that, and he didn't really have a lot to do yesterday.
Yes,
he's not even of Edison right now.
That's because of how good he was collecting a lot of crosses. And we knew that Everton were going to play a lot off the flanks. Like, no other team scored more headed goals than Everton have this season. That was going to be a big worry. Half the reason why Kurt Zuma was in the lineup. Didn't even have to worry, because every time there was a cross, just went and caught it. Just did his job easily. And that's one of the few things that we were really missing out of our goalkeepers from last season. So it's just another example of what Edouard Mendy brings to the team. But yeah, slowly and surely up there for clean sheets. Does need to get given the respect he deserves. Obviously, it's because of how good our defense has been as well. But he comes in clutch and does his job when he's accounted for. You can only praise him for that.
Exactly. And he's 2 off Edison right now. Obviously, City are on a very good run. I know they lost to Man United, but still. So who knows whether we'll manage to catch it up. He probably would have had one more.
Would have been one off, but got dropped against Newcastle.
Yeah, I was literally about to say that. Would have had one more, but kept up playing against Newcastle. But still.
Way to ruin that game.
Well, people are talking about Donnarumma and whatever else, bro. The man's about to win the Golden Glove. All right, relax. And he's doing things as of late that are impressing me highly against Liverpool, and even a few times yesterday. He's really good at sweeping. He's really good at reading that when to come. He messed it up once against Leeds when we went down, like in the second minute, 1-0 down against Leeds or whatever. Messed it up there. But against Liverpool and yesterday, his sweeping was unbelievable. His passing range is much better than I thought it was. I knew he was good with the long balls because that's how Rennes play. But his short passing under pressure, he's really good. You can't press the guy. He's unbelievable. I love it. I'm a big fan. Like, honestly, shout out to Edouard Mendy. I just wanted to make that claim. Again, guys, if anyone has a couple of quickfire questions that you want us to discuss, do that. But Ian, what did you make of Mendy? First of all, as of late, but also overall this season, I guess.
I love him. I'm a big fan. Maybe it's because of who we've had available to us down the last few years, but I'm very much a big fan of Mendy. He's far from perfect. He's going to make mistakes. He's making mistakes at certain times as well. Made a few this season. Give away a penalty at Everton and a few other things as well. But I like him, and I understand that the links to Donnarumma, and again, it's this big name goalkeeper and whatever. But Kepa was a big name goalkeeper. A massive transfer fee didn't work out for him. Sometimes you do not have to have these absolute star-studded goalkeepers that move for 70 million quid and whatever, and it's all this, that, and the other. Courtois, very good goalkeeper. Obviously, he was our player. We loaned him, whatever. But when he went to Real Madrid on a permanent, I think they signed him for 35 million euros, something like that, some fee along those lines. Could have been a lot more, but because he snaked us, I mean, that's him. He didn't make them a hell of a lot better. He made them better. He didn't make them a hell of a lot better. And I think that's something that really it shouldn't be kind of frowned upon. There's some very good players that don't cost massive transfer fees that really help out your team. And I feel like Edouard Mendy is one of them. I think he's a really good goalkeeper. And I understand the links with Donnarumma. I do get it. But Edouard Mendy, for me, get these mistakes out of the way early doors. This is 1 year. It's not even 1 year. It's half a year we've had of Edouard Mendy. And I'm liking what I'm seeing.
For sure. Couldn't agree more.
I agree with that as well. Do you want to throw the little thing that the standard was heavily on the floor, probably in hell based on the last year and a half? But yes, we have to give credit where it's due. Edouard Mendy has come in. Hasn't had to do a lot for the most part, especially recently under Tuchel. But you don't want your goalkeeper to do a lot anyway. You just want him to come out and be accounted for when you need him to. And he's done that. So credit where he's due. I do want to see if he can go for that Golden Glove. I doubt it with Manchester City's form and their defence, but we can give it a try. Let's see where we can go anyway. It's the first season anyway.
And he's played a hell of a lot of games.
That's it. Like, things are just good. Obviously, let's keep it going for Leeds. Obviously, our next game, I might do a Q&A stream between now and then, because obviously the Leeds preview will only be on Friday, so we'll see about that. But Leeds is coming up. Let's hope it doesn't end like the last time out when we batter them, but then absolutely collapse from after that. Let's not do that again. Let's just beat Leeds, however we choose to, whether it's 1-0 or 6-0, don't really care. Get the dub, but just don't collapse after that, please, because we have Atletico after that, and I don't really want to be bottling that. So let's just go and beat Leeds. I really do appreciate both of you guys coming on. We haven't really got a proper, lovely... oh, there it is. Come on, Flyers. Big up yourself. There we are. There we have the quickfire questions. So let me just throw these out to you. VAR or no VAR? Ian, what are you saying?
I like VAR. I think the pricks that are using it wrong. I think it's good technology. But yeah, I overall, I'd say no.
Fair enough. Lewis?
More or less echo what Corrego said. VAR isn't the problem. It's just the idiots who are running it. That's the problem. I've always said, if you have 6 massive screens in front of your face and you still can't get the decision right, you are in the wrong job. So I'd say VAR, but get rid of the people running it, and I'll say VAR.
Yeah, I would agree. It's not being used right, and things still need to be adjusted a little bit, but that's what happens with modern technology, sadly, especially when 50-plus-year-old white people use it. Usually takes a while to get it working. The next question is Hudson-Odoi or Reece James, a right wing-back? Let me go with Lewis first. Who do you prefer there?
Right now, I'd say Hudson-Odoi, but it's a bit more preference, because I know when we face more attacking teams, we're more likely to go for Reece James on the right-hand side. I think Reece needs a bit more adjustment, and I don't think it's him done yet, but Hudson-Odoi's had the better performances there so far, so I'd go for Hudson-Odoi.
Fair enough. Ian, what about you?
Yeah, a wing-back role is a bit more catered, I think, at the moment for Callum Hudson-Odoi than it is Reece James, but he'll get there, Reece James. I'll go Callum Hudson-Odoi.
Fair. I think it's a tough one to judge, really, because it depends on the opponent. I wouldn't... Yeah. Like, if we have to play like more of a 5... then play back Hudson-Odoi as a right wing back, but actually play in a 4-4-2-ish way. Then if it has to be a 5, I'd prefer Reece. But if we can be very offensive and, that's fine, then I'd prefer Hudson-Odoi. So I'm sorry, I can't really pick one there, but it totally depends on the opponent. Next one, hate the most, Tottenham or Arsenal? We all know Lewis's answer, but come on.
Yeah, you already know Arsenal. Honourable mention to Spurs because they're still scum as well, but Arsenal, yeah. That's the one I just happily see liquidated. Tottenham and Chelsea can be a nice little London derby. Hate them anyway for what it is, but at least for footballing purposes. Arsenal can just get in the bin.
Exactly. Ian, what about you? Spurs, Arsenal, who'd you hate more?
I probably hate Tottenham more, only for the reason that Arsenal in the last 20 years have turned into an absolute laughingstock. So, but Arsenal fans are more annoying.
I would agree exactly with that. In terms of clubs, I hate Spurs more, but in terms of fans, I definitely despise Arsenal more. And to this last question, silliest question, not who's better, subscribe to both. Both links are down in the description.
Subscribe to both, but yeah, go for Craigo anyway. He does reaction videos. That's hilarious. I'll back that anyway.
Thank you. I'll go for Kevin Lewis G because you've got more subs.
Oh, well. No, thank you, man.
It's
How
facts.
wholesome. Love to see it.
There you go. But like I said, subscribe to both of these guys. Help Ian reach 20k soon. Help Lewis reach 25k subs soon. And help me reach 10k subs. Come on, I want to join the party. So make sure you subscribe.
How long have you got?
I'm like nearing 9k now. So let's see.
We'll do that. End of the season. We'll get that done.
There you go.
Exactly. I want this hit by the end of March, guys. Come on. I'm thinking quick, bro.
Man, setting big targets. Let's do it. Everyone that's watching right now, still nearly 300 people. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Road to 10k is real. Make sure you smash the like button right now. Become a member if you fancy it. Someone in the chat earlier didn't see a join button underneath. Don't really know on how it is on what device. I'm sorry. You said you're American, so I don't really see why it wouldn't show up for you. Don't really know. But anyways, if anyone wants to drop in a quick super chat to support the channel before we leave it, you're happy to. But of course, you don't have to. We do this content for free for you guys, obviously. Because we also enjoy it. But yeah, we're going to leave it here. Massive thank you to both of you for coming on. Really do appreciate it. It's my mom's birthday, so I'm going to go celebrate that now. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Up the Chelsea, upwards and onwards, and I'll see you next time.